example, your prescription, you can't get a refill until the 1st. So you actually see him, and you can't see him far in advance. You have to see him like within a week or whatever. So you see him, go get the prescription, turn it in so you can get your medicine on the 1st. Well, on the 1st, the pharmacy calls and says you need a prior authorization. So then you have to call the doctor. Well, of course, you can't actually get a human being. And so then the nurse might call you that day or the next day, and then you tell them you need a prior authorization. It takes them that day or the next day. And then the prior authorization has to get approved by the insurance. That can take a day.
Meanwhile, you're in pain the whole time.
Oh, yeah. By then, you don't have any medicine. And then the pharmacy actually gets it. Well, then they realize that they just gave the medicine to someone else or whatever, so now they have to order it. So now it's going to take another 3 days, and so it could be a week, and that's on any month. It could take a week for you to actually get it. So by then you're going through withdrawals, you're having diarrhea, vomiting, on top of being in so much pain that you're crying, you can't sleep.
And to make it clear to those out there who don't understand that, you don't have to be like chronically addicted to pain meds in order to go through withdrawal. You're having to take a lot of it to treat the pain, but just by taking it daily, there is a dependence that is set up in every human being.
Yeah, and there's a difference between being addicted and being dependent.
Yes.
I'm thankful that I don't have, addiction does run in my family, but I'm thankful that I haven't carried that trait thus far. Like, I've never craved my pain medicine. It was never like that. I always had extra at the end of the month.
Oh, yeah.
And I never took it until I was in pain, and I remembered, oh, I'm hurting, I need it. And so it wasn't a, ooh, I have to have it type thing. It was, oh God, I need a walk type of thing.
Yes.
And so those are two different things. But
I need to be able to breathe.
But this last, whenever it froze, whenever COVID started, I was doing the telemedicine thing with my pain doctor. Well, then a lot of people don't even know that I was on pain medicine because that's such a stigma with that. But I saw him, and then the last thing I heard from him was he said he had COVID, and he was real sick. And so I was like, I'm so sorry. Well, then the next month I couldn't get a hold of him, and I didn't know if he died from COVID. I didn't know what happened. So I kept calling the office. Nobody would call me back. He had 2 offices. I called the other office. No one called me back. So I didn't have a choice. I was like, okay, it looks like I'm withdrawing. So I told my family, buckle up, because it's going to get bad type thing. And it was bad.
So even then, as you're preparing to walk through that, you're making sure your loved ones are taken care of.
Yeah.
And what is withdrawal like for you? What was that like?
Oh, God. I don't wish it on anybody. And I couldn't go. I knew that if I didn't want to go to the ER because of COVID. 2, I didn't want to go because how I'd be treated. And then I didn't want to go to addiction facility where I was there for 60 days or something, because it was like I didn't have the same battles. Not that I don't respect those battles, or hats off to anyone who does beat an addiction, but
well, you didn't want to be therapized. You wanted to be out of pain.
Yeah, so it was just a different need that I had, and there's not a place to go for that.
And the goal is not to get you off of that stuff. Well, you have to have that.
Well, I did. I basically wore diapers for 3 weeks and violently ill and couldn't really move and cried a lot and got off of it. And then I started I just treat myself with more of a natural way. And my lupus doctor knows that. I told her, look, I don't want to be on pain medicine anymore because of the fact of, one, how I'm treated, how people view me, how the doctors view me. I'm not taken seriously. If something major were to happen and I go to the hospital, I'm viewed and treated in such a way that that it drives me crazy. I can just...
You're treated... Well, and look at this. Whatever happened, God bless the doctor, but whatever happened there, them not answering the phone equaled you completely having a quality of life. Your family not having a quality of life.
And see, I think that was another, maybe it was a control thing, because I could not stand the fact that a doctor had that much control over me and that didn't care. I mean,
it's for your dignity.
Maybe not even that maybe they did care, but maybe they're so busy that they don't have time, or they can't answer all the calls or do whatever. But the thing is they're not the ones going through withdrawals all the time.
And wearing diapers for 3 weeks.
Yeah, they're not the ones shitting themselves. And so they're not going to take the time. They're worried about the patient that's in front of them, and rightfully so. But at the same time, I view it as, if you take me on as a patient, you are saying that you are obligated to help me through this journey, or that you care enough to help me through this process.
Or at least inform me when you can't be. Yeah. So I can make other arrangements.
Yeah, but call me back, or have your nurse call, or something. Or if you are sick, then have another doctor fill in. But to just leave me hanging and let me go through that, because that was horrible. I can completely understand why there's a lot of people who don't get clean, because that process was excruciating pain, violently ill. That was not a good process. But now that I'm off and I treat myself, I told my lupus doctor, I said, look, cannabis is, I can't smoke it. I try, and then I cough so much I vomit. So I'm really a bad pothead. But I'm
not going to be good at this at all.
I'm not good at it. I'm not. So I had somebody that I know make me brownies. Well, then I was like, look, I can't eat a pan a day. Like, I'm going to be really big. So we're going to have to figure something else out.
And you're going to get sick of brownies. You'll get sick of brownies. It can happen.
I don't know that that's ever going to happen. But anyway, and so finding, now I actually just have little gummies made, and I can cut them in half.
Excellent.
And have half a gummy that's CBD oil that has some THC.
I was going to say CBD, cannabis, or...
Yeah, it's a mixture of both, but I have them made for me. And I cut them in half, and I can just have a half every couple hours, so I have control over my medicine. I don't have to,
That's a brilliant idea.
Well, you would think so.
However,
there's more to the story.
Oh.
My rheumatologist, I went, and they were so excited and happy that they actually stood up and clapped for me when I walked out. Like, they thought it was such a big thing for me.
Yes.
And it was such a prideful moment, like, I didn't know. I just shit myself for 3 weeks. I didn't know it was a big deal. But it really was. It was like, wow. There's not a lot of people who can do this, and you did it. And
I think you're a warrior in a lot of ways, Kari. And an example to so many.
Well, thank you. I would hope so. But I don't know. So a lot of times I don't feel that way. But I went to my, neurologist, because they've been testing me for MS for over a year now. So I went to my neurologist, and I thought I would be open and honest with her, right? Well, that's funny. You can't do that. So I told her what I was doing, and she told me that I was impersonating a doctor by treating myself, and that I could get into some serious trouble. And that I was not only hurting her, but I was hurting myself, and that there was no way that I could do this without a pain management doctor. And she belittled me so much and made me feel so dirty or wrong. And it was so hurtful. I left there and I just cried and cried, because if you know me,
you're just trying to survive.
Exactly. And you know that I grew up with a lot of the drugs and different things, and so I had never been into that scene.
You felt like she was, even worse, she wasn't directly accusing you of shopping for drugs. This time you're being blamed for not going the drug route and trying to create your own solution. How dare you?
Yeah, she she really made me feel like an inch tall, because it was, you can't do this, and how dare you impersonate a doctor, and I was like, what? I'm not trying to do any of that. My doctor wouldn't answer my call. What am I supposed to do? I have to try to do something. When there's no other options out there, you survive on what you can do. And if that's a pan of brownies, then okay. That's what I'm going to do. And so...
You're the one that's living through it.
Yeah, so...
I think when you're treating, and this is obviously not all medical, but when you're in that position, you forget what it's like to be a patient. And even those who are in pain, when they're no longer in pain, we forget what it's like to be in pain. Mm-hmm. People, unless you're there, you don't realize. And a lot of reason why, it's great to do this kind of show. So people can experience it, empathize with it, and go, how would I handle this? Mm-hmm. And so, how is this, if you can even speak to it, how has this affected your family, your husband, and kind of an update on how things are going now?
Well, it's definitely not just me. It affects the whole family. I mean, my husband, bless his heart, he's
a good soul for sure.
He is. I lucked out because he never makes me feel guilty if I can't clean. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. This is real, Kari.
It is. It definitely doesn't affect me only, because there's so many times where we think we're going to be able to go on a date, and I get in the truck and I start I've even vomited in the driveway, and we have to pull right back in and go inside. We went on vacation, and I ended up in the hospital, not even being able to make it to the destination.
Your life is not your own.
It's not. And every day is different. And there's a saying on the spoons, like let's say every day you wake up and you don't know how many spoons you're going to get that day. And it could be 5, it could be 10. But everything you do costs you a spoon. So taking a shower is a spoon. Brushing your teeth is a spoon. Eating is a spoon, and you only have 10 spoons for the day. So where are you going to use your spoons?
Is that a lupus thing, or is that...
It's a lupus, and I think it's also chronically ill, but it's just to kind of, it was somebody asking, how is it? Let me understand. And so they gave, their friend spoons and said, now give me a spoon. Give me a spoon. Okay, you only have 3 left. Are you going to do the dishes? Or are you going to watch a movie with your husband? Or what? You can't borrow from yesterday. You can't, keep some for tomorrow. These are all you have for the day.
You have to be pragmatic about your life.
You have to. Basis. And just like even my, if I want to see my grandkids, then I have to understand that that's all I'm going to do. And I could probably only see them for a couple hours, and then that's it. That's all I have for the rest of the day. Or some days, like a lot of times during the summer, the first month of, June, so it's coming up, I sleep 16, 18 hours a day. I cannot get up. The change of the seasons affect me where I sleep all the time, and I can't, there's nothing I can do to try to wake up. And people don't get that. And it's hard. There's one thing, another on technology, something to understand is that when someone's in bed and they don't have the means to go out and see people or communicate, and they need some kind of interaction, then a lot of times it is through Facebook. And people are going to go through stages where, I've been overly positive, where I'm the queen of positive quotes, or I've been the advocate where everything I post is on lupus, or I'm sad and I post all kinds of sad stuff, or there's different stages. And then finally it's more accepting. But when you're in bed and your life is stopped, it is really hard to remember that your family and your loved ones and your friends, they didn't lose their life. their life didn't end the way yours has, as you know it. And so when you're waiting for, that's